Hi, this is Richard Murray with another session of Parking Lot Theology. One of the most frequent questions I get is about the character Uzzah in the Old Testament. And Uzzah was the fella that was struck dead after he tried to keep the Ark of the Covenant from falling to the ground after it was being transported by David from the house of Abinadab into Jerusalem. So David was trying to do what on its surface seemed like a good thing, bring the presence of God, and that's what the Ark of the Covenant represents, is the presence of God. 2 Samuel 6 talks about how the nature of the Father, the nature of God, rests between the cherubim on the ark. So David's trying to bring the presence of God into Jerusalem for all to have and all to share, for all of Israel to have, into the temple and to fill the temple with the presence of God, which is a wonderful thing. However, David was not doing what Moses commanded, and what Moses commanded was that that the ark be carried on the shoulders of humanity and on the shoulders of priestly humanity. It needed to be priests who carried it on their own shoulders. David instead put it on a man-made cart, a new cart, a man-made cart, and so he was carrying the presence of God in a way that the works of man, the natural strength of men would be involved, of humanity, our own efforts. That would be what controlled the presence of God and ushered it into Jerusalem. Well, that was completely wrong. So Uzzah, and interestingly enough, the name Uzzah means natural strength. The natural strength that we've been given in the wake of being birthed into this realm. So that Uzzah was trying to use the righteousness of men, the strength of men, to control God's presence. And I'm telling you, the older I get, the more that I see that is my own error. That every one of us has an Uzzah on the inside. And the Uzzah is that part of us that wants to control the presence of God and command it, to distribute it, to do as we want to it, and to carry it with our own will and with our own man-made carts that we make for it. We see this in corporate worship. We see it in institutional religion. These are carts that are man-made. They're not spirit-made. They're not carried in the hearts of humanity. And that's how the only way the presence of God can be carried is through the hearts of humanity and our priestly function as sons of the Most High. The sons of God, the children of God are those who are led by the Spirit of God. So that's our privilege. But whenever we start to move it through some sort of institution, through some sort of man-made cart, through some sort of cart of organization or cart of self-will, then it's doomed to failure. So Uzzah, again, who represents natural strength, that's what his name means, tried to keep the ark from falling, and it was falling because it was being carried in again on a man-made cart and not on the shoulders of priests. So the fact that Uzzah was struck dead doesn't mean that God strikes people dead. It means that every one of us has an Uzzah impulse for us to control, to manipulate, to try to use our own strength to accomplish the purposes of God. And that is just where we fall short. So we all want our Uzzah, that Uzzah part of us, destroyed. So this is an allegory. This whole story is an allegory about how we usher the presence in. And it's interesting that the ark was brought in from it was in the house of Abinadab, and Abinadab means father of generosity. Okay, I love that, father of generosity. So we know the nature and the presence of God, which was in the ark, because remember, 2 Samuel 6 says that the nature of God, the name of God, dwelled between the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant. So from Abinadab, the father of generosity, it comes from the father of generosity, but then we try to take over and try to control and manipulate it, as we always do. Whenever a revival comes, the revivals always die because of control. People come in and try to control it and put it in a man-made cart. So this is all an allegory about keeping the name of God, the nurturing presence of God, the goodness of God, free in our hearts, and not in some external, not inhabiting some external structure. So anyhow, I hope that blesses you and lets you see that this is an allegory, because God doesn't kill anybody. God didn't kill a man named Uzzah. I mean, he comes to give life. He doesn't judge anybody and strikes them dead. I mean, look at it this way. I mean, the woman pushed through the crowd and touched Jesus's hem and was healed. You know, that she was coming in desperation and coming as a priestly child looking to receive healing. And Jesus didn't kill her for touching his hem. So, this whole thing, we just need to use our spiritual common sense and realize, okay, what is this trying to say? It's trying to teach us not to be self-willed, not to operate out of our own efforts and thinking that we know better than God and thinking that God needs us to protect him. No, we need him to protect us. And that's what this whole passage is about. So I hope it blesses you. And just remember, don't put God's presence, don't let it get in anything man-made. All right. We need to submit to it. We've been the joyful knee to his presence within us, and we carry it within us. It is always within us, written on the tablets of our heart. We don't have to have any external vessel. And so anyhow, hope that blesses you. Take care.